The van sat abandoned, doors locked, no sign of her. Thick cigarette smoke lingered, a silent witness to terror. A sapphire ring hidden beneath the floor whispered secrets. Every mile she drove vanished into an untraceable nightmare. The receipt from Walgreens marked the last proof of life. Investigators found torn clothing tied deliberately, signaling calculated danger. Default text. No calls, no messages, just a chilling sound of silence. Fingerprints from a stranger revealed someone had been inside. Hours passed, hope faded, and fear settled in deeply. The mystery stretched for decades untouched, waiting to explode. The call came in quiet, routine at first. A vehicle had been sitting in a parking lot longer than it should. No alarms, no reports of violence, just something that didn't feel right. When officers arrived, nothing about the scene suggested urgency. The van was parked neatly. The doors were locked. No broken glass, no visible struggle, just a stillness that didn't belong. They ran the plate. It came back to a family in Wisconsin inside the vehicle. Things didn't add up. A young woman's belongings were still there, clothes packed for a trip, personal items untouched, but the stereo had been ripped out, a radar detector missing. It looked like theft, but it wasn't clean. It wasn't consistent. Then they noticed the ash. Cigarette ash layered thick across the interior, pressed into the floor, clinging to the seats. Not the kind from a quick stop. This was ours. Someone had been inside this van for a long time. Sitting, waiting, smoking in silence. The smell was still there, and the girl who owned the van was nowhere. Just days earlier, everything had felt normal. She had stood at her front door ready to leave for her first work trip, 18 years old, responsible, excited. Her father watched as she walked toward the van, full of plans that hadn't had time to fall apart yet. She smiled before getting in, told him not to worry, said the people up north were good. Then she drove away. That moment would replay in his mind for the rest of his life, because it was the last time he ever saw her. She had just graduated high school. Music was her focus, something she didn't just enjoy but built her future around. College was ahead, opportunities were opening, and in the meantime, she had already taken a step most people her age hadn't. A real job, a structured routine, a glimpse into adulthood. When her company selected her for a 3-day training seminar, it felt like progress, like proof she was doing something right. The trip wasn't far, but it was far enough to matter. Her parents helped her prepare, packed the van, went over directions, tried not to let their concern show too much. Before she left, her father did something simple. He wrote down the mileage on the van. Just a number, something for reimbursement, something meaningless until it wasn't. She left that morning and made a short stop to see her boyfriend. Talked briefly, nothing unusual. Then she got back on the road and headed north. Around midday, she stopped at a shopping center, walked into a store, bought a few small items, cosmetics, things she might need for a few days away. The transaction was normal. The receipt printed, the cashier remembered her as calm, smiling, no signs of stress, no hesitation. She walked out into the sunlight and disappeared. That was the last confirmed moment anyone saw her alive. Hours passed. Her parents waited for a call that never came. She had promised to check in when she reached the hotel. That was the plan. That's what she always did. But evening came and went with silence, then the night. Then something shifted. They called the hotel. She had never checked in. No record, no arrival, nothing. They called everyone they could think of. Friends, co-workers, anyone who might have heard something. Every answer was the same. No one had. By the next morning, the absence wasn't just concerning, it was wrong. They contacted police, but at first there was hesitation. She was 18, legally an adult. No signs of a struggle. No clear evidence of a crime. People change plans. People disappear for a while. It happened, so they waited. Another day passed, still nothing. Then came the tip. A van matching her vehicle had been seen in a parking lot. Officers responded immediately. And there it was. Parked not far from where she had last been seen. Locked, intact, empty, inside. The scene began to tell a different story. Her belongings were all there, carefully packed, untouched. But mixed into that normalcy were details that didn't belong. The ash, the smell, the missing electronics, and then the clothing. A red shirt torn, a dress laid across the seat, pantyhose tied tightly into a knot, tangled knot, accidental. Intentional. Each piece by itself might have meant nothing. Together they meant something no one wanted to say out loud. Then they found the ring. It wasn't on her hand, it wasn't loose on the floor, it was hidden, placed under the floor mat carefully, deliberately, the kind of placement that doesn't happen by accident, and that changed everything. Because whoever had been in that van had taken things, had no hesitation removing the stereo, but had left behind something far more valuable. Why? Was it hidden by her? A last attempt to leave a clue? Or was it hidden by someone else? For a reason no one understood yet. Then came another detail. To drink cups. One from a place she had visited, one from a place she hadn't. The second cup didn't belong to her, which meant someone else had been there inside the van, close enough to leave a trace. But the most disturbing detail came from the number her father had written down before she left. The mileage. When investigators compared it to the current reading, the difference didn't make sense. The van had been driven hundreds of miles more than it should have been, miles that couldn't be explained, miles that led nowhere. Someone had taken that vehicle, driven it, spent time in it, then brought it back, parked it, locked it, and walked away, as if nothing had happened. Search efforts intensified, flyers went up everywhere, volunteers combed through fields. Days turned into weeks. Nothing. Until a farmer noticed something along a roadside, something that didn't belong. What they found confirmed what everyone had feared. She had been there the whole time, hidden clothes while people searched, while her family waited. The investigation shifted completely. This was no longer a disappearance. It was something far worse. Evidence suggested control, planning, deliberate actions. Not panicked or not chaos. Whoever did this had taken time, made decisions, and left behind just enough to be shunned, but not enough to be understood. Suspects were identified. Leads were followed. One man seemed to fit. His behavior matched. His patterns aligned. Even a supposed confession surfaced. For a while, everything pointed to him, until it didn't. Fingerprints didn't match. Evidence fell apart, and eventually the confession was revealed as a lie. The case went cold. Years passed, then decades. The evidence remained, boxed, stored, untouched. Until someone finally looked at it differently. Technology had changed. What once required manual comparison could now be processed through systems built to find what humans couldn't. Old fingerprints were entered, and within weeks a name came back. A name that had never appeared in the investigation. A man who had never been questioned, never suspected, yet had been there from the beginning. His prints were inside the van. On multiple items, including something that made it impossible to explain away. An item she had purchased that same day. Something only she had handled, which meant one thing. He hadn't found the van. He had found her. When investigators confronted him, his reaction said more than his words. Shock. Instability. Denial that didn't hold. And one statement that sat somewhere between truth and evasion. Enough to confirm what the evidence already showed. He had been there. He had touched what she carried. He had been part of the last moments of her life. The arrest came years later. Justice, delayed. Incomplete. Complicated by lost evidence, legal limitations, and a system that hadn't been built for cases that waited decades. In the end, there was no full admission, no complete answer, just a sentence, and a family left with everything that couldn't be undone. A father who still remembered the last word she said. A moment frozen in time. A simple goodbye that carried more weight than anyone could have known. And a quiet truth that never changed. She left home believing she would come back, and someone made sure she never would.